Hey guys, what's going on? This is Travis P11. I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. And today we are taking a look at the awesome CZ52 pistol. This CZ52 is on loan to us from Stan, the owner of SS Pawn in Lexington, Nebraska. Guys, I want you to give Stan a call and they will take care of your firearms needs over there at SS Pawn. All right, man, the CZ52, where do we begin? Let's go ahead and get the specifications out to you on this pistol. Then we'll take a look at the little bit of the handling, the ergonomics. I'll show you some shooting footage of it, show you what kind of accuracy I was able to produce with it. The CZ52 began production in 1952 and it ran from 52 to 54. There was approximately 200,000 of these handguns produced by the CZ company. It does measure 8.3 inches long. The barrel is 4.7 inches long. The overall pistol height is 5.25 inches. It does shoot the 762 by 52 Tokarev round, and it does weigh 33 ounces. Trigger pull weight is anywhere between 8 to 10 pounds, and it is a roller-locked, short, recoil-operated, detachable box, magazine-fed, single-action, semi-automatic pistol. Now, let's check in Gunbroker today just to kind of get a basic idea as to what you can expect on the value on these. Bidding starts between $350 and $375. And, you know, the prices on them, I mean, I've seen them going for $450, $500. I've seen them at gun shows for $400. They're pretty much kind of keeping up with Makarovs in terms of surplus pistol prices. The ammo that I'm going to show you from the range test coming up here, the shooting footage, is this PPU, Pretty Partisan, 85 grain 762 by 25 round. Velocity on that, I'm seeing 1,540 feet per second with 446 foot-pounds of energy. Not as hot as the surplus ammo, but it's also non-corrosive. It does have a lead bullet, which means that you can shoot it at an indoor range. Had no trouble with it whatsoever when I was at the range that I was shooting at. Now, the question is, you know, would you ever buy something like this and use it as a daily carry weapon? Well, the Czech police and the Czech military did so for 30 years and had no trouble with it. I think it was replaced roughly 1980, 83, 82, somewhere around there. So it's not a problem, but if you're going to be carrying this, I would highly recommend you go with the PPU hollow point defense ammo. That kind of velocity with a full metal jacket bullet, you're going to probably be looking at some over penetration issues. And, you know, we can debate back and forth for hours whether or not that's something that they need to worry about or not. I think it is, and so I would recommend if you do decide to daily carry this as a defensive weapon, because it's a great pistol. You know, you've got 8+1 rounds of the 762 by 25. Highly consider going with the hollow point ammo. Ammunition prices are a little expensive. I think you're looking, now if you can buy surplus ammo, you're looking at around 24, 25 cents a round. If you go into the handgun grade ammo, the defensive grade ammo, or stuff like this PPU, you know, we're looking at like 35, 40 cents a round. Honestly, I think I paid about $16 or $17 for the box, plus I had to pay for shipping. Ammunition, I was not able to source it locally, nor any of the towns around the area, so I went ahead and just ordered it online. So finding ammunition that you can get for it, you're pretty much gonna have to plan on ordering it unless your local sporting goods store or small gun store would have it in stock. So real quick here, let's just take a look at the target footage you guys are about to see here. This was at the Nebraska Outdoor Education Center in the indoor range, and you can shoot out to 25 yards.
Let's go to 5.
As for recoil, it's not as punishing as you think it might be. You know, with the design of it and the high bore axis, it is a little bit floppy in the hands, I guess you could say, when you're shooting it. The feel of it is very similar to a 357 SIG round. Reminds me of some of the Glock pistols we've tested out on the channel. Almost like a 357 mag round, but without the heavy recoil. I still feel that it's controllable. That heavy trigger, though, is something that we need to talk about when we do the overview of the pistol itself. Now, just as a little warning here, you know, when it comes to these old surplus pistols, you really got to watch out. You know, they do have safeties and decockers and things like that. The springs inside these pistols, especially the CZ52s, can be worn out, so you'd want to get this checked by a competent gunsmith. And you can get parts online, eBay. You can get a lot of springs and barrels. Somebody was selling basically an entire upper portion of the pistol, the slide, the barrel, the internals for like $149. And so you can get the parts for it. They are out there, and there's a few aftermarket companies too. Back in the day, I'd say maybe 10 years ago, there was a little more modification going on with this pistol, but with the values of it going up, you're seeing more of these out there in their original form. And it does have a parkerized or a gray oxide finish, depending on whether or not you get one that's been arsenal refinished. So real quick, let's go ahead and check the firearm. I mean, I know it's empty, but we got to be careful anyway. Okay, so the chamber is in fact empty. You don't have a slide release button on this or lever. You just have this bar right here that you can manually push up if you need to. Apparently there were companies that offered some aftermarket slide stop levers out there that you could install or have installed yourself, and it would make it a lot easier for you to manually release it. Otherwise, you'd have to have a round in the magazine, which we're going to have to detach that in order to drop the slide. And then after that, you'd be all set to go. So a little bit about the trigger real quick. We're just going to dry fire at one time. I'm not big on dry firing surplus pistols just because you start to run into fragile firing pins and stuff like that. So it is single action, sort of like a 1911. And you've got a little bit of play here. And then it breaks. It is a heavy trigger, and it feels even heavier on the line, which I think did affect my accuracy a little bit on this gun. All right, so top to bottom, front to back, what do we need to know? Sights, talk about the sights. You do have kind of some matte finish up on the top here that does take care of glare, especially if there's any lights overhead. It's not going to be an issue. You do have a nice long line of sight here with the pistol itself. You do have a dovetailed rear sight, which is adjustable. And you just have kind of those standard iron sights that you're used to seeing on old pistols. Again, really reminds me of the 1911. And not impossible to work at, but let's back up here just a little bit. There we go. It is very smooth, very slick up on the top. So you know, I tend to top charge my firearms a little bit harder with this gun. So I did just kind of slingshot it when I chambered my rounds. It's got a nice smooth finish to it. It does feel quality, especially for the age. You know, sometimes you see some of the Tokarev pistols, the TT pistols, and they tend to be, you know, kind of roughly finished. This one, you can really tell that there's a lot that went into it. Let's go ahead and let me just show you the safety mechanisms on it anyway. So you do have a safety lever on the left-hand side here. It's not ambidextrous, nor is it reversible. And so you can put the gun into safe if you need to. Okay, red is hot, obviously. You also can use this as a decocker. Now, be very careful because, again, one of the safety mechanisms inside, there's some sort of a spring. It does prevent the gun from going off if the hammer drops, if you're not pulling the trigger. Well, apparently that spring can wear out, and when you're using the decocker, the firearm can, in fact, fire. But if you do have a decocker that functions, okay, you're gonna have a dead trigger. It's obviously not gonna work, but something to be careful of. Also, the drop safety on it, that spring can also wear out too, and if it does, the gun can go off if it hits a certain angle. So I'm not saying these are inherently dangerous, but do have it checked out. Make sure the springs are top notch. If there's any issues, just go ahead and have the springs replaced. Now, I'm not gonna be taking this pistol apart. I do have a complete cleaning video on it that you can check out if you want to. It does have a roller locking mechanism, which is similar to the MG42 and other World War II machine guns. And that roller locking mechanism inside, I think I'll show you a picture of that here in a sec. It does allow the gun to safely fire these hot rounds, these basically almost like a rifle grade round, through the pistol itself safely and function properly and feed properly. When I was at the range, I did have one PPU round that was a dead round. I fired it, didn't go off. I waited about 10 seconds, cleared the weapon, put the bullet back in, tried again, it would not go off. So I don't know if it was just a hard primer, but that's something that can happen with this European ammo. Again, on the top, you do have some nice serrations up there that make it easy to grip, but it is very slick. You have to be careful that when you're using it, you do have some serrations on the back of the trigger here too. And that is something that makes it easy to grip if you need to, you know, once you drop the hammer, recock it if you want to, and you can go from there. Lots of arsenal markings all over it, some of which will tell you, I believe this one was made in 1953. And those markings will tell you if it went back to an arsenal for any kind of refinishing. To release the slide, you have to pull back slightly and then pull down on this little lever right here, these little switches, I guess you could say. You pull down on both sides, pull forward, and it pops off. Kind of reminds me of like a wall-through design, I guess you could say. The trigger is nice and flat and broad, but again, it is heavy, and I think that does affect the accuracy a little bit because you're really squeezing hard to get that to go off, and it can cause the front of the barrel to waver just a little bit. Grips, there are aftermarket grips out there. They're not cheap, but you can find them. You pop this little band off and the grips come off. These are just the original plastic grip from the 50s, kind of like a Bakelite plastic or whatever you call it. That's really what they remind me of. In the hand, the gun disc does fit really well. If you've had a chance to hold a Ruger 57 yet, I'd imagine it'd be somewhat similar to this. You have a very long grip because of that 762 round. I'm going to say this is probably about 20-30% longer than, say, a 9mm, so there is a bit of a grip to it, but it does fit my medium hands really well. You can get a great purchase on the weapon. No issues whatsoever with any kind of slide bite. I mean, you can see how high that bore is up over to the bottom of my hand. We're probably talking about a solid inch, and that is a high bore axis, and that can cause some excessive muzzle flip when you're firing it. I didn't do a lot of rapid firing with it. I only had one box of 50 rounds, and so I didn't go too crazy when I was shooting it. Just kind of took my time with it. Smooth on the back strap, smooth on the front. If you get one of these, I highly just recommend you keep it in the original configuration just because of value, okay? Now you do have a lanyard loop on the bottom right here. And you also have this European heel style release on the bottom, which is a bit of a pain to manipulate on the range. But, you know, I don't know if these were necessarily used in any kind of combat, but as a police weapon, I suppose it worked for what the Czech police wanted it for. You do have this cool kind of box style single stack mag. And I didn't keep any of the brass, unfortunately, to show you, but you can always look up 762 by 25. If you take these apart and you clean them and put them back together, there's a little wire that's going to have to lock back into place. You want to make sure that goes back into place because during my first range test, I didn't have that locked into place, and the mag basically popped open and everything came out. The spring came out, the follower came out, the magazines were kind of just jarbled up inside the mag. So make sure that that is, in fact, locked into place. Great gun. And the funny thing about this is I actually bought one of these back in, 1998 or 1999. I think I paid about 150 bucks for it. This is not my pistol. Okay, this one does belong to Stan at SS Pawn, but I do love it, except I can never take it to an indoor range because of the ammo. And at the time, I couldn't source the PPU because we barely had the internet, much less internet ammo sales. And overall, I mean, great balance in the weapon. It does have some substantial weight to it. In terms of carry, you can get the surplus holsters for it, the flap holsters, kind of like the old police style holsters that will take an extra magazine, and the cleaning rod with it. Disassembly and cleaning, check out my video. It's not too hard to do. Otherwise, you might be able to get somebody to custom manufacture a Kydex holster for you. Say you want a inside the waistband setup or an appendix carry. Outside the waistband, I did see one holster over on eBay. It was a Phobos paddle holster. Whether you like those or not, that's totally up to you. But that was one of the few holsters that I did see for it, a modern holster that would allow you to outside the waistband carry. Great gun, wonderful pistol. Did not leave my hands sore after shooting it. I mean, the recoil, aside from that little bit of force you'd feel with the gun kind of tilting back, due to that bore axis, it really was controllable, and it was a lot of fun to shoot. Okay, so to finish up real quick here, let's go ahead and take a look at the targets just to show you how I did overall. So, all right, targets, what do we got? So 5 yards, I basically had to more or less have about half the target. I mean, when I was on the front sights, I almost had the front, the circle right here about halfway buried under the front sight. And this is what it was pulling off. Again, I have a tendency to pull to the left anyway. I know, more trigger on the finger or more finger on the trigger and whatnot. But it just, yeah, I mean, it was just off a little bit, but still shot a nice solid group. I mean, I had one flyer. That was the first round I shot, I think. And then this was a nice tight group. This is about an inch, okay? 7 yards, things kind of spread out a little bit. I had 3 that went over here. I had 2 that went over here. This is pretty predictive of what's going to happen for the rest of this. Okay, 7 yards. I mean, not bad, but I definitely would need a lot more practice with it. And please remember, these are just the first shots I've ever taken with the gun. I mean, aside from the 7 I got off last week before they had to close the range down due to the ventilation system. But anyway, 10 yards. Okay, I mean, this is still, you know, this is still combat defensive accuracy. This would still work if needed. Practice with it a bit more. I think that you would definitely get some better results than me. 15 yards, I mean, it was on target, I can't complain. I think I had 5, and this might have come from a different group, I can't remember exactly, but this is 15 yards. I mean, this is adequate. We're probably looking at about 3 inches, maybe 3.5 inches, any way you go, any way you measure it, which is fine. 20 yards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I had the rounds spread out a little bit, definitely. They dropped down. I don't know if it was me, maybe I was thinking that the muzzle climb was gonna cause me to shoot high. Either way, 20 yards, I did not have the best group, and then 25, things get even sloppier. So down here was a round, over here was a round. 3, 4, and I have no idea where the 5th round went. So, yeah, it's somewhere. But anyway, I mean, it is what it is. You practice with the gun a bit more, I think you're going to get used to the trigger, and I think that you definitely can get better with it over time. All right, let's bring it back for just a few final comments. And this is just a quick look at what the old surplus holsters look like in that flap style, which is fine for what it is. They're leather. Put another magazine right there. You can put your cleaning rod tool over here, which you can also use for the disassembly, as a viewer let me know about last week. Just got your basic loops on it to put a belt through. I mean, this would do fine if you wanted outside the waistband carry. It's pretty nondescript, I guess. So, would I buy one? Oh yeah, I think so. And I did. And one of the main reasons why I bought it back in the day is because it was one of the least expensive, just semi-automatic quality handguns out there I could get. Like I said, I think I paid about 150 bucks for it delivered. I think I went through J&G sales back in the day. It was a long time ago, but I can't remember exactly. So yeah, you should definitely pick one up. From an investment standpoint, I mean, you know, surplus handguns are not going down in price. Makarovs that were $175 just a couple years ago, 2 years ago, are going for, you know, $350, $400, $400 a lot of the gun shows. Your Star BM 9mm pistols, you know, those were under $200. Now they're going $250, $300. So prices on surplus pistols will continue to rise too. But otherwise, guys, that is my take. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, make sure you check me out over on guntube.org, and I'm also over on Gunstreamer and UGEtube. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, all that contact information is in the bottom of the video. You can also check out a little podcast that we do called Caliber Corner, which is Monday nights at 6 o'clock Central Time. And we do talk guns, and that's generally every Monday we have an episode, so make sure you do check it out, and I think you're going to like what you see. But otherwise, that's it, everybody. Have fun, be safe, get out there and get yourself a CZ52, and as you know, we will talk to you soon. All right, y'all take care and have a good one. Bye-bye.